Good morning, guys. Let's start the session today. Today we have to discuss about computer components. Okay. Can you see my screen? Today we have to discuss about computer basis, computer architecture, and computer basics. So in this chapter, we are discussing about components of the computer. Component of the computer mainly focus in CPU, control processing unit. Okay. So what are the computers? So I think you all familiar with laptops. Some of them familiar with computers. Computers mean desktop computers. I mean desktop computers. In there, we have several components like monitor, keyboard, mouse, then CPU, then UPS, likewise. So laptop, all of these components in one equipment. But in desktop, you have to use different kind of hardwares like monitor, CPU, keyboard, mouse, like this. So in there, we have to discuss about those things differently. Okay. So what are the computers? What is the introduction of what is the introduction of the computer? So you all know about computer is an electronic device. So we need power to power on our computer. So that's a electronic device. And this is a data processing machine. What are the data processing machine? What mean that? Data processing machine. So when we input some data, we can process them. Process them means we can do some operations and create information using that data. So mainly we are focusing on that data processing. Okay. And personal computer simply abbreviated as PC. Personal computers means that computer used by someone. It owns to someone. That's the personal computer. So if I use my laptop or computer, that's my personal computer. Okay. Your answer is your personal computer. So it owns by someone. And those all computers working with microprocessors. That's the main control unit of the computer or laptop or anything. That's the main thing. Without main processor, without microprocessor, we cannot run our PCs or laptops. So we have different kind of microprocessors, different versions of microprocessor. According to microprocessor, the computers has many features like speed, then power on speed. Likewise, you can do many kind of work according to the our microprocessors. Okay, so we have generation, then microprocessor version, then VGA. We have to focus on those features when we are going to buy a new PC or laptop. So main processor is the main thing we have to focus because it's the main component of the PC or laptop or any kind of computer. Microprocessor is the main component. Okay, so if you going to buy a new laptop or new PC, you have to focus on this microprocessor. It has a i5, i7, then AMD versions, AMD Ryzen 7, Ryzen 5. I guess we have many versions, many types. You have to choose one of them. According to version, it prices are differentiate. Okay. So microprocessor is the main component we have to focus there. Okay. So let's move
Recording
on
in
to
progress.
functions of computers. What are the functions of computers? What we are doing with our computers or laptops or palm tops? We have many type of computers. So what are we do with those computers? What are we do these computers? What are we do with these computers? What are the functionalities of those computers? I think you all work with computers. You are, I don't know, you are you are not developing any apps. I think you are working with computers for your lectures and watching films, likewise. Okay. So what's the main functionalities of computer? So main functionality is we have to input some data, then process them, then we can output them. So in computer, we have a CPU, Central Processing Unit. So it is the main hardware component we can touch. Okay. In desktop computers, we have monitor, CPU, keyboard, mouse. So we have to connect belongs to them. We have to connect computer to CPU. We have to connect keyboard to CPU. We have to connect mouse to CPU. So our main hardware component is CPU. Why? All the equipment and all the other hardwares control inside that CPU. Okay, that is one function of computer. One functionality of CPU. So in CPU, we takes data as input. So you can input the data like images, songs, movies. You can input them, and not only those data, you can input some numbers. If you open calculator and input some number, and you can do some operations using a calculator. Then store the data instruction in its memory and uses them required. That means you can store your films, songs inside your computer, and then you can watch them and get them. Okay, you can store any kind of data. You can store images, songs, movies. You can store any kind of file inside your computer. Then, if you want, you can get them to outside using USB device, hard disk, or anything, CD drive. So that are the output components, output devices we can get from our computer. Then process the data and convert it into useful information. So we can input some data to our PC computer, then we can process them. We can build some information using that data. We are using several kind of softwares for that processing part, but you have to think we can input data, then inside our computer we can process them and make information. Okay, then generates the output. Output means need to get this outside. Okay, so we can use output devices like pen drives, CD drives, floppy disk. Likewise, you can use any output device. Then control all above 4 steps. That means input, process, output can control in our computer. Then let's move to features of a computer. What are the features of a computer? Computer is an automatic device. So that means we we no need to follow them. We can give them instruction, then we can get the output. We need to give them just only instruction. We are giving them instruction to computers. So then it's a automatic device. It means computer can work with minimum human intervention. So no need to deal with our computers every time. Once we supply data and instruction, they process them and they make information. Just need to give them data and instructions to make information. Okay. So then it's a data preprocessor. Data preprocessor means computer can capable of processing data. We can processing data. Then if we collect some data from any source, we have to process them. That means we are collecting raw data. That means no meaning for that data. We have to process them for meaning. But so before processing part, we have to clean them. That means our data has many duplicates, then data can be missing. Likewise, problems can be occurred. So we can clean them. That's the data preprocessor. That's the data preprocessor. After that, after we clean our data, we can process the data. That means data processor and data processing. Okay, so after we clean our data, we processing our data using mathematical or anything, any instruction. According to our instruction, it makes information. Then it is a storage device. What is a storage device? Storage device means we can store our data or anything inside our computers. Our computer has main memory. That means main memory means our RAM, random access memory. It also memory store equipment, memory store hardware. It's not main, it's not, it's a primary storage. That means it's not permanently store our data, not store permanently our data in their memory. RAM is not a permanent storage. RAM is not a permanent storage. So what are the permanent storage? Permanent storage means when we store our data inside that permanent storage, it can lifetime we can access them if we are not deleted them. In random access memory, it can store just our computer is working. If our computer power goes, it will lost. Okay, so random access memory or RAM is a primary storage memory. What are secondary storage memories? Secondary storage memories means we can store data for lifetime. We can store data until we delete. It's not deleting when power off. Okay, that is secondary storages. So what is the example for the secondary storage? Our hard disk, CD, DVD, then pen drives are the some secondary storage. Okay. So someone asked to explain in Sinhala. I can, but it's not ethical because this is English. Your degrees in English, so I have to do the lectures in English. Otherwise, someone report about me. That's problem for me. Okay, I will explain in single little bit, but not much. Okay, so storage devices means that we can store the data inside our PCs or laptops or anything. Storage devices inside our storage devices. We have several storage devices inside our computers. So one is RAM and other one is ROM. Then we have other storage devices also. So ROM means the hard disk. ROM is hard disk. So we can store our data in permanently in our hard disk. In your PCs, you have C drive, D drive, and so on. So you can store your data inside that C drive or D drive or any drive. That's the ROM. Okay. So when we open an application and do some work, it's storing in RAM. If you are not saving your file, it's storing in RAM. If power off, your file will corrupted. File delete. Okay, that's the random access memory of RAM. Okay. Then it is a electrical thing. Thing means computers need power. Power means this is a electronic device. You need power to power on. You need power to charge your batteries of your laptops. So that's it. They need electronic. That's a electronic device. Okay. Then let's move to types of computers. What are the types of computers? We can classify our computers. So first one is personal computers or PC. So in personal computers, we have one user, single user can use them. Others can use if a user authorized to others. Otherwise, it owns one people. Okay, that's mean personal computers. We have several PC types. That means laptop, then desktop, palm top, mobiles. Likewise, that all devices are computers. Mobile also a computer. It has a chip, chip or microprocessor. Snapdragon, Exynos, Apple, Apple chips. Likewise, they have microprocessors. Then workstation. What is a workstation? So workstation means we work with them. That means we work like specific work that like developer, data engineer. So for that purpose, we need to get more powerful computers. Make developers can't make softwares without powerful computers. They need a more powerful microprocessor, then VGA, RAM, storage, so on. They need SSD cards, and also these storage devices I recommended SSD for this storage devices. That means in ROM we have hard drive. In hard drives we have two types. That means HD and SSD. HD is slow than the SSD. SSD is speed than the HD. Okay, if you are going to buy a new laptop or computer, I recommend please install SSD for your computers. That's why power on time also reduces, then we can do our work speedily. When our laptops is with SSD, they have speed to do our operations. Okay, so when we are going with workstation means we have powerful microprocessor than the PC, desktop personal computers. We recommend some work to do with this workstation. When we work with big data, that means we have million trillions of data. If we have millions trillions of data, for processing part, we need more powerful computers. Some workstation computers also can't million trillions of data. Can't work with million trillions of data. Okay. So then mini computer. Mini computer is a multi-user computer system capable of supporting hundreds of users simultaneously. That means this is multi-user computer, so it works with like hundred of people. That computers are networking. That's like a more powerful than the PCs, personal computers or laptops. So that are the mini computers. Then mainframe. Mainframe also like mini computer, but its processor is more powerful than the mini computer. So we have to these mainframe computers are expensive than the mini computers because we have to use more powerful processors at the mainframe computers. Okay. Then supercomputer. Supercomputers also like mainframe, but it fast than the mainframe and it uses more powerful processor than the mainframe. It can execute hundred of millions instructions per second. That means it explain that speed of the supercomputer. It explaining speed of the supercomputer. Then let's move on to computer architecture. So in our computers, I explaining we need to input our data to our computer. Then we have to process them inside our computer. Then we have to get them outside. So this is the computer architecture. So we have to input unit, then CPU, then output unit. So if you imagine a desktop computer, that means if you have a monitor, keyboard, mouse, and CPU, what are the input unit? We have to input our data to our CPU. What are the input devices? Input devices are keyboard and mouse. So if you press one button, it goes to CPU. If you move your mouse, it shows in monitor. So you input some data using that keyboard and mouse. Likewise, you can input data using pen drives, CDs, floppy disks. Using that external devices, you can input the data. So input units are basic input units are keyboard and mouse. Then CPU. CPU has several components like memory unit, control unit, and arithmetic and logic unit. I will come to next. For the CPU, then we are processing our data inside the CPU, then we output them. What are the output devices? Output devices mean we get some data from that devices. Okay. Our main output device is a monitor. Monitor shows us the monitor shows us some UI, user experience. Not user experience, UI, user interface. Okay. So our monitor shows us some UI interface, some interface. So you can see if you press a button, you can see in your monitor. If you move your mouse, you can see in your monitor. So monitor is a output device. Okay. Then what are those components inside this CPU? CPU has several components like memory unit, then memory unit means RAM, ROM, then control unit, then arithmetic and logic unit. We have registered and other components inside this CPU. If you unpack a CPU, you can see some hardware devices like RAM, VGA, the register, motherboard. You can see them. Okay. So let's discuss those things one by one. So let's move to input unit. What are the input units of our computers? I explained about input units like keyboard, mouse. They are the first input devices we have to use. You are using keyboard, mouse, and trackpad. Trackpad also in laptop. Trackpad is also a input device. We can input some data using them. If you press a key in a keyboard, letter goes to CPU. So that's the input device. Keyboard is a input device. Mouse is a input device. So input units are the devices with the help of which we enter data into the computers. We can input the data using these input units. Then creates a link between the user and computer. That means users are input the data. Others can't input the data for the computer. So it creates a link between user and computer. So imagine your keyboard. It's create a link between you and your computer. Mouse also like that. Then input devices translate the information into a form understandable by computer. So after we input our data, after we input something inside the computer, then we create the information using our computer. So that's the meaning of this slide. Okay. Then let's move to output unit. What are the output unit? Our main output unit is our monitor. It shows us the keys we press. If we move the cursor, it shows in monitor. So that's the main output device we have. And also we can output the informations using pen drives. We can plug the pen drive and get the output of the information. So output unit consists of devices with the help of which we get the information from the computers. That means we can get the output from using output devices like pen drive, CD drive, floppy disk, likewise. Then translate the computer's output into a form understandable by the user. That means if you press a key, you can see in your monitor. It's translated to human recognition part. If you move the mouse, you can see in your monitor. So output is familiar with the user. Output can read the user. Okay. Then let's move on to the central processing unit, CPU. What is CPU? CPU is the brain of the computer. That's the main part of the computer. If you get a desktop computer, you have to plug all the devices into your CPU. You have to plug your mouse, keyboard, monitors, speakers, all the devices to your CPU, central processing unit. So it is the brain of the computer. It's the main part of the computer. Without a CPU, that's not a computer. Without a CPU, that other equipments are just equipments. We cannot do anything without a CPU. So that's the brain of the computer. Then perform all type of data processing operations. That means we are doing all the operations inside that our CPU. If we input our data, then we have to process them. We have to make the new information. So we have done using our CPU. Okay. So inside our CPU, we have memory unit, control unit, and arithmetic and logic unit. Using them, we can process our data and instructions. According to our instruction, we make new informations. Okay. So CPU stores data, intermediate result, and instruction. That means when we input our data, it is stored in our CPU, in our memory, in our ROM and RAM. Then it makes new informations using our data. And according to our instructions, we have to give them data and instructions to make new information. Without data or instruction, we cannot make new informations. Okay, so data and instructions are must. Okay, then controls the operation all parts of the computers. That means CPU is I explain you, CPU is the main component of the computer. So it plugs all the equipments into CPU. So that means all the equipments controls inside the CPU, inside the central processing unit. Okay. Then CPU itself has following three components. That means ALU, arithmetic and logic unit. That means arithmetic things, addition, subtraction, division, multiplication, likewise. You can do arithmetic thing using ALU, arithmetic and logic unit. Then memory units. We have two memory types like primary memory and secondary memory. In primary memory, it consists of RAM. In secondary memory, it consists of ROM. Okay, so what's the primary memory means? Primary memory means if power goes, data will go. Secondary memory means it saved our data, it stored our data until we delete it. If power is gone, it store in our data. It store in our memory. We can get our data in any time. That means secondary memory. It consists in ROM. ROM means our hard drive. Okay, then control unit means we have to control all the equipments inside our CPU. We have to control our keyboard, monitor, speakers, and mouse inside our computer. And not only that, trackpads, then drawing pads. You can use any kind of equipment with connecting our CPU. Okay, so let's move on to these three one by one. Okay, first thing is memory unit. Memory unit. What is the memory unit? Memory unit means we can store our data inside our memory unit of the computers. Main memory units are primary memory and secondary memory. Okay, then supplies information to other units of computer when needed. That means if we make informations inside our computer, we store them inside our ROM. So if you access if you want to access them, we can access them anytime. Okay, and also you can share them, you can communicate them, you can communicate your information using these memory units. Okay, then we have main memory, that means primary memory. So that is random access memory. That means we have primary storage consisting with RAM, random access memory. If power goes, it cleared. RAM is cleared. RAM is storing our data until power is there. If power is not there, it deleted. Okay. Then secondary storage not consisting there. So secondary access memory means like ROM or hard drive. If you save some file in your hard drive, it's there until we delete it. Okay, that's the secondary storage. So these are the functions of the memory units. It store all the data and instructions. It save all the data until we can delete them. Not until we can delete them. We can store our data inside our memory unit until we can use. And after we process our data to information can be stored until we share them. Okay, that's the okay. Then it is stores intermediate result of processing. That means intermediate result. If we can process some our data, if we crash, it will crash when we are going to process our data. Our instructions can be crashed. So we can save the data until it crashed. Okay. So that's the intermediate results. Then it stores the final result of processing before these results are released to an output device. That means after we create informations, we have to share them with others. So before share using output device like pen drive or hard disk or something, we can store them until it give them to output device. Then all inputs and outputs are transmitted through the main memory. So all the inputs and output are transferred through the main memory. Main memory means RAM. All the inputs and outputs transmitted through the RAM. So it save RAM save all the inputs and outputs until it power is there. Okay, that's the meaning. Then let's move on to control unit. So first thing is in control unit, it control all the equipments of the computer. It controls all the equipments of the computer like keyboard, mouse, monitor, speakers, drawing pads, any kind of equipment. It managed with control unit. And also it responsible for the controlling the transfer of data and instruction among other units of the computer. So it's transferring our data and the instruction. When we are going to process our data and the instruction, it transmitted through the or transmitted to all our device. Then it manage and coordinate all the units of the computer. It manage all the equipments of our computer, equipments of our computer. Then it obtains the instruction from the memory, interprets them, and directs the operation of the computer. So after we create instruction, we have to pass them to our probe. So it done by using our control unit. Control unit control all our operations. Then it communicates with input-output devices for transfer of data or results from storage. That means after we save our information inside our ROM, then we have to transfer them to our external hard drive or external pen drive or something. So it controls the our control unit. Then last thing is it does not process or store data. So control unit is controlling all of them, but not process or storing them. Processing part is done by arithmetic and logical unit. Storing part done by memory unit. So control unit does controlling parts, just only controlling parts. Okay. Then let's move to ALU, arithmetic logic unit. What is the arithmetic logic units? So we discuss about memory unit, then control unit. So memory unit store our data, then control unit control our data and other things. Arithmetic and logic units. When we are storing our data and instructions inside our computer, we have to process them. We have to process them and make information. So link of the data and instructions is processing part. So processing is done by this arithmetic and logic unit. So this ALU consisting with two subsection, two components, arithmetic section and logic section. What is arithmetic section? Arithmetic sections means our arithmetic operator like addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Not only that, we are done all the complex operations also inside this arithmetic section. Complex operation means complex operations means like complex numbers, and also we can give them like more difficult instructions to do the processing. So all of them done in arithmetic section. Then logic section. What is logic section? Logical part. Logical part consisting with comparing two values. So comparing any values, then selecting, matching, and merging. Comparing means comparing our data. Then selecting means select our data, select our suitable data. Then matching means we have to match them to our instructions. Then merging them means we have to merge them. So logical part, like logical thing means when we are give them instructions, we have to do some logical thing. Okay, so that is the logic section. It's done by logic section. Okay. Okay, that's it for today. So do you have any problem regarding these units? Do you understand the lecture, or do you have any problem of this lecture? If you have any problem, you can ask. Huh? Do you have any problem, guys? Okay, I think you don't have any question. If you have any question, you can ask. Huh? Send me a message. Send me a direct message. I will not mention your names. I'm not going to mention your names. Okay, so let's wrap up the meeting now. So if you have any problem, you can send me an email also. Okay, thank you guys.
Recording stopped.